Remember walking into your parents' house in 1970? The smell of that shag carpet, the sound of the rotary phone, that giant wooden TV in the corner. I'm going to show you 10 things that were in every American home back then. But today, they have completely vanished. And number 7, that one is going to hit you right in the heart. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Welcome to 10 Things to Know, where we explore the fascinating stories and forgotten details of history. If you grew up in the 1960s or 70s, this video is going to feel like coming home. We are going to look at 10 household items that defined an era, things you used every single day, but your grandchildren have never seen. Some of these disappeared because of technology, others because society changed, but all of them tell a story about American life half a century ago. Hit that subscribe button and let's remember together. Number 1, the Rotary Telephone. Remember this? You did not just press buttons. You had to physically rotate that dial for every single number. If someone had a lot of 9s and 0s in their phone number, calling them was a real workout. And if you made a mistake, you had to start all over again. Every kitchen had one mounted on the wall with that long, tangled cord that somehow always ended up in knots. You would stretch that cord as far as it would go when you wanted privacy for a phone call. The rotary phone disappeared in the 1980s when push-button phones took over. But man, those things were built to last. Some of them still work today. Number 2, the TV antenna. You know what did not exist in 1970? Cable TV in most homes. If you wanted to watch your 3 or 4 channels, you needed those rabbit ears sitting on top of your television. And here is what kids today cannot understand. Someone had to stand there holding the antenna just right while another person yelled from the couch, "That's it! Don't move! Perfect!" You would wrap aluminum foil around the tips to get better reception, and the whole family would sit there watching a snowy, fuzzy picture, because that was your only option. Today, we stream crystal-clear 4K video on our phones. Back then, we were happy if we could tell what was happening on the screen. Number 3, the Encyclopedia Britannica. Almost every home had a complete set of encyclopedias, usually 20 or 30 volumes lined up on the bookshelf. These were not cheap. Families would pay monthly installments for years to own a full set. But this was your Google, your Wikipedia, your search engine all in one. Need to write a school report? You would pull out the heavy volume, flip through hundreds of pages, and hope the information was in there somewhere. And here is the thing. By the time you finished paying for the set, the information was already outdated. But we did not care. Having encyclopedias meant your family valued education. Today, all of human knowledge fits in your pocket. Back then, it took up an entire shelf. Number 4, the console stereo system. This was not just furniture. It was the furniture. The console stereo was a massive piece of wooden furniture that served as your record player, AM/FM radio, and sometimes even held your TV inside. These things weighed hundreds of pounds and sat in your living room like a wooden battleship. You would lift that heavy wooden lid, place your vinyl record on the turntable, and suddenly the whole room filled with music. The sound quality? Actually pretty amazing. These consoles had real speakers, real wood acoustics, and they were built to last generations. They disappeared because they were just too big for modern homes, and technology kept shrinking. But man, there was something special about that warm, analog sound coming from a piece of furniture that felt like it had a soul. Number 5, metal ice cube trays with the lever. Before your refrigerator made ice automatically, you had these metal ice cube trays. You would fill them with water, stick them in the freezer, and wait. But getting the ice out, that was an engineering challenge. These trays had a lever you would pull up to crack the ice loose. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes you would be there for 5 minutes, wrestling with this metal contraption while your drink sat there getting warm. And if you pulled that lever too hard, Ice cubes went flying across the kitchen floor like frozen missiles. Today's automatic ice makers have made us soft. Back then, making ice was a skill you had to master. And let me tell you, there was a real satisfaction when you got that lever to work just right and all the cubes popped out cleanly. Number 6. The wall-mounted can opener. Every kitchen had one of these bolted to the wall, usually right next to the stove. This was not some wimpy electric gadget. This was solid metal engineering that could open a can in seconds. You would hook the can under the wheel, squeeze the handles together, and crank that wheel around the lid. It took real effort, real hand strength, but it never broke down and never needed batteries. These things were so well built that many of them are still mounted in old houses today, 50 years later, still working perfectly. They vanished because electric can openers became cheap and pulled tab cans became common. But there was something honest about that manual can opener. It did one job, did it well, and lasted forever. Number 7. The telephone table. This one is going to get you. Every home had a small table or bench in the hallway dedicated entirely to the telephone. Because remember, you only had one phone in the house, and it stayed in one spot. You did not carry it around. So you had this little table with a chair, the phone sitting on top, and usually a notepad and pencil attached by a string. When the phone rang, everyone would rush to that one spot. You would sit down for long conversations because you could not go anywhere. That table was where you got good news, bad news, where you asked someone to the prom, where you called in sick to work. That telephone table was the social media hub of 1970. All your connections to the outside world ran through that one piece of furniture. Today, we each have our own phone in our pocket. Back then, one table, one phone, one family. Number 8. The milk delivery box. On the front porch or side of almost every house, there was a small insulated box. The milk box. Here is how it worked. The milkman would deliver fresh bottles of milk to your house several times a week, leaving them in this box to keep them cold. You would leave the empty bottles out, and he would replace them with full ones. This was before milk came in plastic jugs at the supermarket. This was glass bottles with cream floating at the top and a little paper cap you would peel off. The milk delivery service ended when supermarkets took over and everyone got cars to drive there. Those little milk boxes got removed, painted over, or just forgotten. But there was something neighborly about that system. Someone bringing fresh food right to your door, knowing your family by name. We are only now rediscovering that convenience with modern delivery services. Number 9. Decorative ashtrays in every room. Now, this is going to sound strange to younger people, but in 1970, almost every room in the house had an ashtray. Smoking was not just accepted. It was everywhere. Your living room had ashtrays, your bedroom had ashtrays. Even the bathroom sometimes had an ashtray. They came in every design you can imagine. Crystal, ceramic, brass, glass. Guests would smoke at your dinner table. Your dad smoked watching TV. People smoked in hospitals, on airplanes, in grocery stores. It was just normal life. These disappeared as society learned about the health risks and smoking became socially unacceptable. By the 1990s, those ashtrays got packed away or thrown out. It is one of the biggest cultural shifts in American history. Something that was in literally every home is now almost nowhere to be found. Number 10. The personal recipe box. Last but not least, the card catalog or recipe box. Every family had some version of this. A small box filled with index cards containing phone numbers, addresses, recipes, important notes. Your mom's recipe box was like her personal database. Handwritten cards with her mother's recipes, friends' recipes, recipes cut from magazines and glued onto cards. That address book was irreplaceable. If you lost it, you lost everyone's contact information. People would guard these things like treasure because there was no backup, no cloud storage, no sync across devices. Today, all of this lives in our phones, backed up automatically, searchable instantly. But something was lost too. The personal touch of handwritten recipes, the care of maintaining that box, the physicality of flipping through cards. Those recipe boxes often got passed down through generations. They were not just information storage. They were family history. So there you have it. 10 things that defined American homes in 1970, but have completely vanished today. The rotary phone, the TV antenna, encyclopedias, console stereos, metal ice trays, wall can openers, the telephone table, milk boxes, ashtrays, and recipe boxes. Some of these disappeared because we found better ways to do things. But looking back, there was something special about that era. Things were built to last, families gathered around shared items, and life moved at a slower pace. Which one of these brings back the strongest memory for you? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you never miss a video. I have got another one coming next week about 1960s America that is going to